years for the Harlem Globetrotters? Raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Harlem Globetrotters. Okay, a few of you. Okay, so I got to travel to 70 different countries, do a lot of cool things. It was on Good Morning America, the Today Show. Anybody ever heard of a show called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Yeah, it was on that. Raise your hand if you think I was smarter than a fifth grader. Are you serious? Everybody to raise their hand. Okay, well, I was not smarter than a fifth grader, I'll tell you that. But through all of these experiences, I got done playing in 2014. I'm like, okay, well, I've accrued all this basketball knowledge and basketball wisdom. I said, what can I do? So I decided to start my own training business to teach little kids, all the way up to NBA, WNBA players, how to take their game to the next level. So I did that for about seven years. And then I realized something. From working with Paul George and Miles Turner and Eric Gordon and Jay Crowder, working with all these pros, I realized the only difference between them being in the NBA and someone who maybe was overseas and didn't make it to the NBA, it wasn't their skill set. It was their mindset. So then I went on this journey to figure out, how do you develop an athlete, or how do you develop a human being to cultivate their mindset so they can tap into their full potential? And this is where I'm at now. This is why I'm here in front of you all. And you guys realize that the only thing that's really stopping you from being all that you can be is you. You get in your own way. We all do. I'm the first one to admit I get in my own way all the time, right? When you realize how you get in your own way, now you can start working to get out of your own way, and this is when your game will blossom. And the beauty of it is, it's not just basketball, it's anything you do. School, life, you play golf, tennis, whatever it is, you will thrive. So, before we get started, I'm always curious to know, raise your hand if you struggle with confidence. Okay. Confidence. Raise your hand if you have fears when you play. Maybe you're afraid to shoot the ball, you're afraid to miss, you're afraid to shoot an air ball. Anybody? Okay. Okay, sorry, we got some fears. Okay. Raise your hand if you just don't think you're good enough. At times. Maybe not all the time. Okay. So we'll say, let's call that worthiness, right? Okay. So I got clients that range from the NBA, the NFL, the WNBA, to CEOs of companies. And they struggle with these three things too. So the beauty of it is you're not alone. But this is something that all of us struggle with. And then we're through over the course of us working together, I'm going to show you why you struggle with these things and then how to get rid of it. So let's do this. Jordan, do you have something to erase with?
Yep, there's wipes right behind the board for you.
Are these Caroline's wipes or no? Over there, Courtney had Caroline's wipes. I'm like, okay, as long as they're not used, I'm good.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Okay, so what does it mean to be confident? Who can tell me? And by the way, I'm not going to do all the talking, so I will call on you. So please don't be like I was in school when the teacher called to me and I act like I was doing work even though I didn't know what the answer was. So what does it mean to be confident in your eyes? Yes?
To believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. Anyone else want to add to that?
Not being scared.
Not being scared. Okay. Anything else? It's good. Okay, those are all really good, but here's what it means to be confident. To be exactly what you thought you could be. Because here's the reality of it. Everyone here, everybody, parents, me, everybody, you are exactly what you thought you could be. This is the beauty of life. You're going to be whatever you think you are. So if you think you're this, you're going to end up being that. But the problem is how we view ourselves is actually how other people view us, because we're taking on other people's perceptions of us. So now, somebody may say, oh, well, Derick's not very good. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not very good. I just took on their perception and made it my own. So that's what I will end up being. When you understand this, you're going to be whatever you think you are. All we have to do is control and focus in on what we think or what we want to be. So I will teach you how to do that over time. But this is probably the most, I live my life by this. I'm going to be whatever I think I am. I am whatever I think I am. And there's no boundaries as to what I can see, how I can see myself as. So, I'm going to explain to you, who can tell me what the mind is? Can anybody tell me? What is your mind? Let's say mindset. What does that mean? Anybody tell me? Make a good guess? No? I'll tell you this, okay? Mindset. Anybody know what a thermostat is? What's a thermostat? Make sure we know, yeah.
Like what tells the temperature?
It tells the temperature in your house. So, I like our house to be really warm. My wife doesn't like that. She doesn't like when I keep the house warm. She likes to be cool. So I'll go mess with the thermostat. She's like, why are you messing with the thermostat? Think of the thermostat as what keeps the temperature for your house, a certain temperature, and it holds it there. Your mindset is the same thing, but for your life. So where my mindset is, that's what my life is going to directly mirror. Right? So it holds. So if I have a positive mindset, if I'm optimistic, if I believe in myself, if I'm confident, my life will then mirror that. Okay, so you understand that. All you had to do was get your thermostat or your mindset to the place where you think it was in line with what you were trying to be, and then it will take care of itself. And I'll explain that over time, but here's what we're going to do, okay? I'm explaining to you 6 faculties of the mind, okay? These are what the mind does. First thing, there's a part of your mind called your imagination. Can anybody tell me what the imagination is? Anybody know? Do we all have an imagination? Raise your hand if you have an imagination. Okay, good. Okay, so now you can tell me what it is since you have one. What's the imagination? Back here, Michael Jordan. Make believe, okay. All right. Good, that's good. What else? Anything else? Anyone else want to add to that? So is the imagination real or is it not real? It's make believe? Oh. Okay, I will tell you this. The imagination is the seed of reality. Here's what I mean by that. Everything that you see right now, go ahead and look around. Look at this barn, look at that barn, you look at your clothes, look at everybody, everything. Everything started with someone's imagination, everything. This barn, somebody said, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we go ahead and put a bunch of pieces of wood together and we'll call it a barn. It first started with a thought inside somebody's mind called the imagination. Right? If we look at your basketball game, before you come down, you make a move. You haven't made the move yet, but you're thinking in your head, what if I make this? You're using your imagination. So the imagination will always precede reality. So here's the beauty of the mind. The mind does not know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. It doesn't know. Raise your hand if you ever get nervous. Okay. Raise your hand if you ever experience anxiety. Raise your hand if you ever experience fear. Okay? These are all constructs of the mind, of the imagination. So here you are, worried about what's going to happen next week. Have you ever had something that you were worried about and then it didn't even happen? You guys ever had that? Like you really worried? Like, no, like I'm talking about like you have a test and you're over here freaking out, and then you end up getting a B on it or an A. Right? But yet you get nervous. Right? We look at stress. Stress causes heart attacks. People die from stress. Stress is just a thought. So I'm stressed out and worried about, oh no, what if I can't pay my bills? What if I lose my job? What if? And then my heart's like, and I die. But my point of this is, my body had a physical reaction to a thought because it did not know the difference between what was imagined and what was real. If I wanted to right now, I could get you guys to all imagine like you guys just won the national championship at AAU. I say, really, like, use your imagination, but you guys would all start smiling and laughing and giggling, and I'd be like, you guys didn't win. You guys are sitting in a barn right now. Because your mind does not know the difference. So I say that because it's going to be really important over the coming weeks that you learn how to use this. This is why Albert Einstein said this. Albert Einstein said the imagination is the seed of reality. This will be the start of everything. So let's move to the next one. Memory. Let me tell you what memory is. What is memory? Ah, very good. Very good. It says something that comes to your brain from the past. You remember. So think of it like this. Imagination is up there, and memory is back here. Okay? So memory allows me to be thankful for what happened, feel gratitude. That's on the positive end. On the negative end, I may feel regret. I may feel shame. I may feel guilt. This is of the negative end, and we'll get into it more, but memory is a faculty of the mind. Okay? There's another one. Intuition. Anybody know what that means? Raise your hand if you want to go to college. Okay? You guys ever heard of something called tuition? What is tuition? Can anybody tell me? Yeah.
Well, you gotta pay to get in.
You got to pay to get in. Yeah. You got to pay for your learning. Right? Tuition is to be taught, to learn. You guys see the word tuition in here? Tuition. Intuition. In means inside. Tuition is learning. Your inner teacher. You guys ever heard trusting your gut? Yeah. Hey, you got to trust your gut next time. You ever go make a pass and you're like, I'm not going to throw that pass. Wait, I'm going to throw it now. And then you throw it. You trust your gut. This is the inner teacher. This is a higher faculty of the mind. We'll get into that as we go on, but just want to touch on this real quick. So we have imagination, we have memory, we have intuition. We have willpower. You can tell me what willpower is. You guys never heard of willpower, huh? Anybody tell me, take a stab at it? Guess? No right or wrong. Who thinks they can tell me what willpower is? Yeah.
Thing that drives you.
Thing that drives you. Yeah, that's really good. Willpower. Can you give me an example of it? You think? Like use it in a sentence? Sorry, this isn't a spelling bee. Sorry. Anybody? Willpower, think of it like this. Raise your hand if you ever had a coach who made you run. No, I meant like really made you run. Like my college coach, my first college practice, the first practice ever, he put 30 minutes on the clock, and we had to do 30 suicides. Now it takes you about 40 seconds. So when you got done, you had 20 seconds break to the next one. That's if you're rested. By the time you got to like the 16th or 17th, when you're exhausted, so now it's taking you 50 seconds to do a suicide. You only got 10-second break. And I was just like, I never forget, on the 17th one, I started to walk over to the coach, going, I can't do this. This is not what I signed up for. Are you kidding me? So I go to start walking over, and I'm like, no, this is a part of it. And I didn't quit. I exercised something called willpower. Willpower is your ability to hold a thought and hold it there. So when I use my imagination, and I start thinking about, no, I can play college, or maybe I can play the NBA, or I can do this. And everybody's like, no, you can't. You can't do that. Or it does not look like it's going to happen. I still have to believe and hold that thought that I can. And by holding that thought, I'm using something called willpower. Make sense? You guys understand that? Okay. Let's move on to the next one. I think this is probably the most important one. It's a toss-up between that one and that one. Perception. What is perception? Yeah.
Like how you view yourself or how other people view you.
Yes. How you view yourself and how you view others. Did you all know that you will always have a choice in how you perceive something? Did you all know that? Truly. So if I tell you, oh, you're not very good at basketball, that is my perception that I am then putting on you. You have a choice as to whether to accept that or reject it and be like, no, I am good. What are you talking about? Your perception is how you view something. Okay, so here's the easiest way. So perception is how I view something, which determines how I experience something, which is what I call reality. So I can literally change my reality and change my life just by shifting my perspective. So raise your hand if you ever had anything bad happen to you. Okay? Have you ever had something bad happen and then like months down the road or maybe years down the road you're like, wow, I see how that helped me. It made me better. We hear it all the time with Michael Jordan. Right? Michael Jordan got cut when he was going into 10th grade. Oh, it was probably the worst thing ever for him. Probably devastated. I don't know, but I'm willing to bet if Michael Jordan did get cut in 10th grade, he would not be Michael Jordan who we know today. It fueled him. So he used that situation to his advantage. When you understand that your perception will determine how you experience it, and you have a choice, why would we ever choose to perceive anything as bad? So this is what I do in my life. No matter what happens, the first question I always ask myself is, what is this teaching me? So that way, I'm using this quote-unquote bad situation to help me, to make me better, to help me better understand myself. So we'll dive into this really deep because this is really powerful when you understand the power of perception. And then the last one is reason. Anybody know what reason is? What does it mean to reason?
Like why you do something?
Why you do something? Yeah. To take, what's 1 plus 1? Anybody know? 2. Okay. You guys just use reason. You didn't even realize. When you guys problem solve, when you say, oh, I got to do this to get to that, or I got to have that done to have this done, that's you reasoning. This is a faculty of your mind. So we have these 6 faculties of imagination, memory, intuition, willpower, perception, reason. The reason why you have them is so you can create your life the way you desire. When you understand how all of these work and you actually use them, you'll be able to take your game to levels that you didn't even think was possible. And it's using all of these, but a lot of times we don't get taught this in school, so we don't even know that we have them. And it's like having a hammer, and you don't know, like, well, I need a hammer to build a house. Well, you got a hammer right here. If you knew you had a hammer, you could use it. So this is why when me and Coach Delks sat down and talked about it, we're trying to give you all your tools and show you where they are in your toolbox. So even 20 years from now, you'll still be able to build your house however you want. So, any questions? I didn't think so. All right. Okay. Raise your hand if you want to see me draw. You want to see my artwork? Deal. You got it. I'm going to show you guys my artwork here. I have been practicing, so you guys appreciate it. Okay. All right. Between the ages of 0 and 7. Okay. Okay. Here's a picture of you guys between 0 and 7. Good? No? He said no. All right. I'll explain. So this is what we call our subconscious mind. Okay? Subconscious mind. And I'll give you some properties of the subconscious. It can only accept all information. And here's what that means. Between the ages of 0 and 7, mom is telling you something, dad is telling you something, you watch TV, stuff you're eating, everything through the 5 senses, your subconscious between the ages of 0 and 7 is just recording. It's recording, it's recording, it's recording. So when mom's saying, oh, you little precious baby, you're the best baby in the world, you're sitting here recording saying, I'm the best baby in the world, I'm the best baby in the world. And this is getting recorded into your subconscious, and it can only accept. It goes on the adverse side too. If people are telling you, oh, you'll never be good enough, you'll never be able to do anything, guess what your subconscious is saying? We'll never be able to do anything, and I'm never going to be good enough. And it's recording, recording, recording. Here's what happens, though. You're not aware. You have no idea. Between the ages of 0 and 7. Anybody 7 here? No? Didn't think so. You're not aware of what was being recorded and programmed into this software that we call the subconscious. So here's what happens. Draw another picture here. Let's just say between 8 and the rest of your life. Now, you look like this. So you have a top. Okay? Now, that's your conscious, and you still have your subconscious. So let's give you some properties of a conscious. It can accept or reject information that comes in. So now when mom says something, or dad, or a coach, or you eat something, you can say yes or no to it. So I did an experiment on my children. I know, dad of the year. So my kids were, at the time, my daughter was 6 and my son was 8. Okay? So it was during the pandemic, and I was making breakfast for my kids all the time. So one morning I said to my son, I'm not going to make you breakfast this morning. To see what he would say. What do you guys think he said? Do you think he accepted or rejected it, or he just... What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah. He was able to reason through his conscious. He was able to... Because the conscious is responsible for your reason and your intellect. So he was like, wait, you made breakfast every other day, what? So he says, yeah, you are. You're going to make breakfast. He rejected what I said. Okay? So then my daughter comes downstairs about 15 minutes later. She's 6 years old. I tell her, I'm not making breakfast this morning, just to let you know. And she sat there and goes, okay. Because she had not developed a conscious mind yet. All she could do was accept. Of course, I ended up making breakfast. Don't worry about it. You don't have to call anybody. I'm not making breakfast. But I got to see my daughter did not have a conscience, and my son had his conscience, so he could accept or reject. So here's what happens now. Here you are, 8. You could be 10 years old. You could be 39. You could be 50 years old. You're playing back everything that was recorded then, but you weren't aware that it was recorded. You had no idea. You had no idea. So here's what I see. Your subconscious is responsible for your emotions. So here's an example. And your conscious is responsible for your intellect, meaning my thoughts, what I think consciously. So here's what I'll do. I'll say, oh, I'm really, really good. No, I'm really good. I'm confident. But then deep down in here, I feel like I'm that big. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to play well today. I'm going to play well. And then you show up at the gym, you feel nervous. You're like, Your subconscious is responsible, it's important you guys remember this, for 95% of your behavior. 95%. And your conscious is only responsible for 5%. So what that means is 95% of your behavior is dictated by your emotions, that these thoughts were all accrued back when you were between the ages of 0 and 7. So this is why it's important for you all to be aware of how you feel. It's not about what you say. It's not about what you think. It's about how you feel. And here's why. Anybody ever heard of a thought loop? Do we know what that is? No? Okay, I'll explain here what a thought loop is. This is the way your life works. From now to the end. It goes like this. We have a thought. Then we have a feeling or an emotion. And then those emotions cause you to take action. And those actions produce results. And then those results spur on another thought. And this is all you do all day long. Thought, feeling, action, results. All day. So most of these first thoughts, the first one, is of the subconscious. So you're not even aware of it. Not even aware of it. I don't even think I'm good enough. I don't think I'll ever be good enough. Maybe because I got cut when I was younger. So I don't think I'm good enough. So now because I don't think I'm good enough, I don't feel like I'm good enough. Because I don't feel like I'm good enough, I act like I'm not very good. Because I act like I'm not very good, I don't play very good. And I look at my stats and I'm like, I'm not very good. And then here we go. We start over again. So here's the thing about the subconscious, okay? Here's what happens. There's something called your RAS. RAS. This is your reticular activity system. I know I'm giving you a science lesson, but you understand what's in your toolbox. Your RAS is linked to your subconscious. And here's all that means. Whatever my subconscious is saying, so if let's just say my subconscious, it's, well, I'm not very good at basketball. My RAS will spend the whole day scanning the environment to make sure that I'm not very good. It affirms whatever the subconscious is saying. So here's what happens. Okay? Let's just say I don't think I'm very good at basketball. That's what I feel like here. Man, I'm not very good. I'll never be any good. Now I go to the grocery store, and I'm walking in behind somebody, and they don't hold the door for me. My RAS will look at that and say, see, they didn't hold the door because they knew you weren't very good at basketball. And what this does is, it just repeats like this. Here's the good news. If you think you really are good at basketball, or you really are good at something, and it's in your subconscious, your RAS is going to look for any reason to prove that you are. So that same person who didn't hold the door for you, your RAS is going to look at it and say, see, she didn't hold the door because she knew I was the man. She knew it. She knew. That's why she kept going. She was trying to run away because she knew I was the man. That's why this is what happens. So I've dealt with guys at every level, and girls too. The pros, their subconscious is borderline delusional. Like to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are like, they really, like I dealt with Paul George, and like, wow, this guy, of course he's as good as he is. He really thinks he's like the greatest player ever. So now guess what? His RASs are looking, just scanning to prove that. To prove that. So this is where it's important, when you guys understand this, all you have to do is really reprogram that. This is like, think of your life as like a computer. And this is the software that's running. So if I reprogram my software to how I want, the computer will run nice and smooth. What happens is we're usually not aware. We're not aware of what our software is, and we didn't update our software. So now here we are, we're just living life, and we can't understand why, how come I'm not doing this? It was here, right? So, any questions? Anything? Okay, what comes first, the thought or the feeling? What comes first, the results or the actions?
Actions.
So think of your results like goals, okay? If my goal is to have a result of scoring 20, I don't have to score 20. That's not where I'm putting my energy at. That was the last one of the thought loop. What do I have to do? Which one was the first one? Thought. So if I can take care of the thought, that'll take care of the emotion, the feeling. And once it's the emotion, the feeling, it's the subconscious, so now it's good. I'm fine. So here's what I started doing in life. I come up with goals, but I don't focus on the goal anymore because that was way over here on the last step. Now I just focus on, okay, how would it feel? How would it feel if I accomplished this? Who has the biggest dreams in this room? You don't have to share them, but who has the biggest dreams? No? Okay. Big dream? I would say me. My dreams are crazy. If you knew my dreams, you'd be like, this guy's nuts. He ought to get back in his car and go back home. My dreams are huge. Okay? And I sit and imagine, what would that feel like? What would it feel like if I accomplished it? Oh my goodness, wow, that'd be amazing. Wow. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. And then, you know what I do? I act like it's already done. So I ask myself, what would he do? If you've already done it, how would you act? What would you do? Oh, I do this, and I would do that, and I would do... So now guess what? My actions will always be in line with my emotions. Always. Everybody here. Your actions will always be in line with your emotions. Always. So people, all the time, I deal with athletes all the time. Oh, yeah, no, I'm really good. I'm this. I just watch their play. I watch you play because it's your emotions. This isn't anything. This is what I say, talk is cheap, actions speak louder than words. Your actions is a direct result of your emotion. So raise your hand if you want to be a good basketball player, get better. Okay. All you had to do is feel like you were already that, and your actions will mirror that. So maybe you'll take shots that you wouldn't normally take. Maybe you'll drive to the basket, but you'll be a little bit more of a risk taker, you'll be a little more aggressive. Because your actions had to be in line with whatever you were feeling. Okay, so let me ask you this. I'll show you why it's so hard being a human being. Okay? Did you guys know that you live on 3 planes of existence at one time? Did you guys know that? You didn't know that, did you? Okay. Spirit, mind, body. Here you are. This is you right here, everybody in here. Spirit, mind, body. You guys ever heard of that before? Somebody say, oh, I was aligned, spirit, mind, and body. This is all this is. These are the 3 planes of existence that you live on right now. Okay? So, this is your spirit. This is your mind, which is, so, we'll say it like this. So, the spiritual plane. Then we have the mental plane. And then we have the physical plane. So this is where your body is, life. This is where your mind is. This is the spirit. Okay. Everybody hold your hand up. Okay. Go ahead and look at your hand real quick. Okay. Tell me what it is. Don't overthink it. Just tell me, anybody. What are you looking at? Huh?
A hand.
Whose hand? Mine. Who's mine?
Yourself.
Who is that? Who are you? Who's that? Who's myself? This is my hand. My hand. Who's my? Who's that? Who owns the hand? Someone's saying my. It's like that's my car. That means I own the car. But who's saying my hand? What is that? Think about it. What's your name? Corbin. Whose hand? Whose hand is that? Who's mine? Who's saying that? Who is that? Who's me? 2, 7, 8. You guys put mustard on from now on. Deal? Deal? Okay, we got you. Deal? No? Okay. You? Thank you. Deal? But you see what you guys just did? I say put ketchup on, and you're like, okay. Sorry, put mustard. You're like, okay, yeah. You just took on my perception of what I like, and you made it your own. But you know good and well you don't like mustard. Too tangy, sour. This is what we do with other people with our games. So people would say, oh, well, he's not 5-star, he's not this. Oh, okay, that's cool. That's your perception. I'm not going to make it mine now. Why would I do that? If I'm going to be what I think I am, why would I listen to what anyone else, why would I take on what somebody else thinks about me? For what? This is what it means to be confident. This is it. Confidence comes from you determining what you are. That's what it means to be confident. So I'll tell you this. Nothing exists outside of you. Everything is you. Everything's about you. Everything. You're going to be whatever you think you are, period. Period. That's it. That's it. And here's the beauty of it. There is no boundary as to how you could view yourself. Professional athletes, we'll use them as an example. Most people view themselves right here. High achievers view themselves up here. Professional athletes, they view themselves up to the moon. They view themselves like they're almost borderline delusional. Like they really think, oh, look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's 115 years old. He's still playing football. Right? Tom Brady really thinks he can still go out there and win a Super Bowl. To get to that level, to get to the highest level in your sport, you had to be delusional. You had to be to the point where people knew how you viewed you. They'd be like, man, this guy's crazy. There's no way. There's a girl who I went to college with. She played soccer. Now, this is probably not the greatest example. Hopefully you kids don't watch this show. It's called Wild 'N Out on MTV. Okay. But anyway, there's this girl who was on a soccer team. She used to always go around campus rapping all the time. She played soccer. We used to see her. She'd just be rapping by herself, walking. Ah. And we'd look at her and be like, what is she doing? She's crazy. She's nuts. What is she? Well, now, she's on TV every week. She's already got something million followers. She's doing all of these things. Even back then, she was acting like she was already that. And we thought she was crazy back then. So my point of this is, if you do it right, people probably will think you're crazy. But remember, it didn't matter what they thought about you anyway. It didn't matter. So, I'm going to ask you guys a question. I want you to see if you agree with me. Okay? Actually, let's do this. Time isn't real. Raise your hand if you agree. There's no such thing as time. Raise your hand if you disagree. Okay? Now you have to present your argument. How is time real? What do we say? Can anybody tell me? Or why do you say that time isn't real?
Because it doesn't matter how much time it takes. Like, we knew it
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Time doesn't really
Okay. Life. We're all experiencing this thing called life right now. And life is where your feet are. Correct? So wherever your feet are, that's where life is. Correct? So here are my feet. This is where my life is. My life is where my body is. We all agree to that. Correct? Okay. We have the past, and we have the future. Okay? And then this little dot right there is what we would call the present. Okay, let me ask you this. Where are we right now? Present. Okay. Yesterday, when your feet were wherever they were at 5:49 p.m., was that the past, present, or future?
Past.
It was, but your feet were there. So your feet is only where life is. So at 5:50 yesterday, at that moment, my feet were there. That was the present moment, correct? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. If my feet were where, when the dinosaurs were roaming, my feet were there, that would be where life is, that would be the present moment. It is always the present moment, always. Here's where we get in trouble. The past and the future are constructs of the mind. Go ask a squirrel, is it past, present, or future? What's the squirrel going to say? What are you talking about? It's now. It's present. It's always present. It'll always only be present. It'll never not be present. Never. The only place where it's the future and the only place it's in the past is up here. So my point of this is, when you guys get stressed out, when you get, raise your hand, you get nervous before games. Okay, you know why you get nervous? Because your mind is not here. Your mind is here. But your feet are right here. So now my mind is all thinking about, what if this happened? Oh no, what if I turn the ball over? What if coach takes me out? But my feet are right here. And this is going to create these terms that we throw around quite a bit. Now I'm going to feel anxiety. I'm going to feel stress. I'm going to feel fear. I'm going to feel worry. Okay? When my mind is in the future, is creating the future using the imagination, but my feet are at the present moment. But when my mind goes off into the past, and my feet are in the present moment, now I'm going to feel all of these things. I'll feel regret. I'll feel shame. I'll feel guilt. I'll feel depressed. So what happens when my mind is where my feet are? What happens when my mind is where my feet are? What will I feel?
It's present.
It'll be present. It'll be present. When you guys get nervous, does anybody ever tell you to take a deep breath? You guys ever seen that before? You guys know why? Because you can only breathe in the present moment. So you're bringing your mind back to the present moment. So if my mind is here, if my mind is where my body is, meaning I'm not off in the future worrying and I'm not in the past regretting, now here's all the things I'm going to feel. I'll only feel peace. I'll feel joy. I feel content. So this was the objective. So what's our career high? Anybody have a career high here? What's the most points you've ever scored? I'm curious. Alex?
34.
34. Who else? 20. Anybody else? 20. What else? 2018. Okay. 22. Have you guys ever heard of being in the zone? You ever had it? You can't miss a shot. You hear pro athletes talk about it, or they call it being in flow. Man, I was in the zone. Man, I couldn't miss. Your mind is nowhere else but in this present moment. So this is how you get into a state of flow. This is how you get in the zone. All you have to do is keep your mind right here. You turn the ball over, it's done, it's finished. It's gone. That was back there. Do not allow your mind to stay back here. Your mind has to stay here. So for you to be the best basketball player or perform well on tests or do anything in life, the key was to keep your mind where your feet were. Period. That's it. I'm not going to get into it now, but I'll explain next time we get together why we spend our time here and why we spend our time here. That's for next class. Questions? What did you take away from today?
Keep your mind inside of being present.
Okay. What else? Good. What else?
Your mind can do all these things that no one knew.
Your mind can do all these things that nobody knew of. I know. Why didn't they tell us this? That's what I'm saying. What else?
You're always in control of what you do and your actions.
Yeah. Mind's in control of what you do and your actions. So when you had your career high, did you like, Alex, did you say 34?
Yeah.
Were you confident going into the game?
Yeah.
Like, did you know, like, oh boy, they're going to get this work today? Did you know that going into it?
Yeah.
Okay. The next game, did you have 34?
No.
Did you have less than 34?
Yeah.
Okay. The game before that, did you have 34 or no?
No.
Okay. So did you get taller when you scored 34?
No.
Did you get faster?
No.
Stronger?
No.
You just knew you were going to do it, though. Okay. So nothing changed physically with Alex. I hear you right. Nothing changed. It was mentally. Mentally, he was different. What if I could do this with everything I do? What if going into everything, this was the question I asked myself, what if I could be so unbelievably confident that I knew I was going to perform well no matter what it was? What if I could do that? I could trick my mind into thinking that. Because remember, it didn't know the difference. What if I could do this? How much better would I perform? So I'm going to explain next time we get together how and why, more importantly why, but then how you do this. Do you guys have a tournament this weekend? No? Next weekend? When's the next tournament? July. Oh, you guys are off for a while. Okay, good. So you have a couple months to start implementing what we learned. That's right. Yeah. Oh, baseball. Are you a pitcher?
Pitcher and some baseball.
Are you pitching this weekend? Do you know?
No, I have a game to go to.
Pitching is a big mental thing, isn't it? Yeah. I work with a couple pitchers. That's pitchers in golf. That's it. It's a big mental game. So, you guys don't have any more questions then? We will go ahead and conclude, and we'll pick up next time where we left off.
Hey, give DG a round of applause. Man, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, I want you guys to apply this, okay? I want you to apply this to not only your game, but to your life, okay? And guys, I'm telling you, I started working with Derick just about a year and a week now that I've been working with him, and it has changed my life. Same concepts I started out with, okay? So if you guys really take heed to this, okay, it'll change your life. So thanks for coming, parents. Thanks for bringing them. I know it's not a practice night, but man, I truly believe this stuff is life-changing. So thank you all for coming. Feel free to stay around and shoot around if you want. This bar is empty, so if you want to shoot some hoops.
All right.
Thank you.
I know he did, but that was.
I need that for my wife.